August SATs within a month, and in this video we will talk about how to score a 700 plus on the reading section without reading any of the passages. That sounds crazy, so let me explain. Reading is the hardest part of the reading SAT, right? We all almost get bored instantly. In fact, I bet a lot of us read the entire passage, and once we're done, we're like, what did we just read? And the other half of us, once you flip the page, all the knowledge you just read just goes out the brain. We gotta reread the same passage over and over again and waste a crazy amount of time. Now, if I told you you can score 700 plus without reading any of the passages, first things first, this is primarily targeted for the SAT grammar, but some of these techniques can be applied to the comprehension section. So starting off with the SAT writing section, most questions can be answered just by reading the sentence before the sentence in question and the sentence in after. You don't have to read the entire passage. And one thing I should make a disclaimer about is that the point is to not read the entire passage. Obviously, you're gonna have to read like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words, but you don't want to be reading the entire passage because a lot of it is just fluff for you. Moving forward, vocabulary questions can be answered without even reading the passage if you have strong vocabulary. But at the same time, most likely you will need to know the context of the word. But some words, you know, the definition is pretty clear and it can really only be that definition. But for the words that have like multiple definitions that actually are reflected in the answer choices, you can read the sentence within, and that's all you really need to understand what this word means and which way it's being used. And now the question that a lot of students are like, well, how can you answer this one if you don't read the passages? That is a sentence ordering sentence question. You do have to read the passage for that. Not the entire passage, but just the paragraph of which sentences are in. But you don't have to read the entire sentences in full. You just gotta look for keywords and phrases. You see, the sentence in question is gonna have a keyword or phrase like, yeah, so John reacted angrily to what, but had the, that's a weird name, to what Beth said. And now you're like, well, what did Beth say? So there, you have to find the sentence where Beth is saying something and you know that the sentence in question will appear right after that sentence. That's where it's supposed to be because Beth says something and now John's gonna react to it. And that's all you need to know. You don't have to read the other 3, 4 sentences in the paragraph. You can just read that sentence, look for the keyword, boom, you got it, move on. And now this trick applies to mostly all of the writing questions. This reading the sentence before can give you a lot of context. In fact, enough context to answer whatever the question is, whether it be, well, can you replace this word? Which word is better used? Is that used properly? Is they, them used properly, etc. So I know students will spend a lot of time reading the entire passage and then they run out of time. You don't need to do that, but if you're someone who does read the entire passage, I just honestly recommend skimming it, especially for the grammar section, because understanding the passage doesn't really play much of a role into getting the question right. I mean, it might help you understand the passage better, but for a lot of the questions, you generally don't need to know what passage is saying overall. You're just asking about those specific sentences / words in the overall passage. And now moving on to the comprehension section. Now, it's hard to comprehend that without reading, you know, you can get any of the questions right. Okay, that's true. But the thing is, you don't have to read every word. And that's a mistake that a lot of students make because they read every single word. And then when they go back to read the passage for like a question, they reread every single word again. And that's just killing their time. So how exactly can you answer questions without reading the passage or minimally reading it? First things first, you gotta read the question. All right, if you read the questions first, you're most likely gonna be done answering every single question before you even finish reading the passage. As you read the passage, you can answer the questions as you go. And one of the key ways to really understand a passage while reading fast, while skimming, is you must annotate. Annotating is what a lot of students don't do because what happens is in school, teachers make you annotate. Sometimes they grade your annotations and you're like, bro, I hate annotating. So when you take the SAT or exam like the SAT, you're like, oh my God, I don't have to annotate because no one's gonna grade my work. But teachers are actually right. Annotating will help you understand the passage immensely. Let's say you read a paragraph. You can turn that 5-sentence paragraph into 2 sentences by annotating. So that way, when you look back at the passage and you see that paragraph, you already know what that paragraph was talking about because you wrote a 2-sentence note by that 5-6-sentence paragraph. So now you just save yourself reading 3 to 4 sentences anytime you go to that exact paragraph. And that's the beauty of annotating. You're literally condensing information for yourself. So not only do you understand it better, you read less, you're able to answer the questions faster. Furthermore, if you're annotating as you read the passage, you can remember the questions and then you can answer the questions as you go because you're now comprehending at a much faster rate. So you're like, oh my God, I just wrote this note about why the ocean is blue and there's a question asking why the ocean is blue. Oh my God, let me answer that real quick. And now when you go to the questions, you're like, oh wow, I already answered this. I only have 2 questions left after reading the entire passage because I answered everything else as I went. Let's be honest, it's impossible to not read 60 to 70% of the SAT reading passage, right? You gotta read it, but that's all you really need to read to understand the passage. I would honestly say 70-80% just to be safe, and if you're a little slower than 80-90%, but if you're like really good, I said 65-75% is really how much you need to read. Obviously, you can skim the entire thing, but in terms of reading, that's all you really need to do. Because the thing is, there's similar patterns in the text, and once you understand like what questions will appear, where to look for in the passage when you're faced with these types of questions, whether it be beginning, middle, end, these things become very apparent for you, and you're able to answer these questions with relatively a lot of ease if you keep on practicing the SAT reading section and keep on trying to read as little as possible, but answer as many questions as you can. So only read as much as you need need to, don't read further than that. Time is the biggest issue when it comes to reading and writing. So just follow these tips and you should be good. Because remember, guys, at the end of the day, your goal is to minimize reading. One, because I know you hate it, I know you get bored, and two, so save yourself time and get more questions correct. Now, if you all made it to this point in this video, whether you're taking the digital or paper SAT, I do have essay reading course available. The link in the description below in case you guys are interested. It'll really teach you everything you need to know for SAT reading, how to like answer these questions without reading any of the passage. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment down below your favorite tip and what is your goal SAT score.